And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince, and I'm here with my co-host Stevie D. Stevie D, what were you doing yesterday?
I was counting down the minutes for the night, baby. That's what I was doing. I was counting down the minutes.
There's so much going on. There was so much. I don't even know where and how to start. I mean, we have our topics for today, right? When you look at our topics, right, we're going to talk about the PED 12 snub of the Patriots. We'll talk about how old people shouldn't text. We're going to talk about the obvious Brian Flores versus the NFL. We have Stephen Ross. And you asked what? And then, of course, a longtime favorite of the show, Hugh Jackson, returns, and we'll talk about Hugh. So I just don't know where to start. So we said we're going to talk about PED 12 stubbing the pads, right? So
That's not the greatest single thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
so we can see across your chest, right, that you have the Jets symbol. We see in my background and across my chest, right, we have the Buffalo Bills. So we know who our enemies are. And yesterday was a day for our enemies. It really was. Let's start with PED 12. Now, I don't call him TB 12. I call him PED 12. And I think take note, since we started calling him PED 12, all of a sudden, the retirement word came to light, right? Why are you retiring? Are you afraid of being exposed? Are you afraid of Mr. Alex Guerrero and his questionable tactics for the fountain of youth that you have? That those will be brought to the light? Could it be PED 12 being exposed? But that's the retirement. Is it the story, Stevie D? 22 years in the league, right? 20 up in the Northeast and 2 down here in Tampa. The real story is I'd like to say goodbye, right? So, in my goodbye message, first and foremost, you're shedding a tear. I see. I knew you, boy.
No,
I knew you'd shed a tear for your boy. I knew it.
dude, I'm going to tell you something. This is such a happy day. I just can't believe what happened. It's great.
So,
I'm sorry.
in your goodbye message, you want to talk about how you won all these championships with an asterisk. You want to talk about what a great time you had, how you got recruited and come to Tampa Bay. You want to talk about the teammates you had in Tampa Bay. You want to talk about the coaches in Tampa Bay. You want to talk about the training staff in Tampa Bay. You want to talk about the general manager, Jason Light, in Tampa Bay. You want to continue talking about the fans of Tampa Bay. You want to talk about the city of Tampa Bay. Well, that's a long IG post that you have in there.
Yeah, for something for 2 years.
Only for 2. That's right. And so I got to wrap it up. So let me wrap it up. Let me just add to my wife and to my family, and that's it. Hit send. Right? Did we forget about the first 20 years of the career? Did we forget
Oh,
about?
he said thank you 2 years ago when he left New England.
Well, this is true. I don't have to redo it.
Right.
That's a good point. I don't have to redo it. And so everybody picked up on this, right? And I think we're all in agreement that whenever you do something, especially when PED 12 does something, it's always a calculated action, right? He's not just like AB just typing stuff out and hitting send. He's looking at it. He's having marketing teams review it. He's having his agent review it. The publicist is reviewing it. He's rereading it. Then he's hitting send. Right? Very, very calculated.
Yep.
So this was a calculated move. But in as much as it was a calculated move, when it first happened, there's a certain radio station in Boston that I can't stand. But let me tell you, I was going through my internet radio stations trying to find it, and there it was. And the very we had just talked, right? We just got off the phone yesterday, and I told you what I was going to do.
Yep. Yep.
And I turned it on, and the first thing I hear is, "Why did Tommy snub us?"
Tommy.
And it was just call after call, and hating the Patriots. Hate's a strong word, but hating the Patriots, right? And just a disdain for the bandwagon fans that they have, right? I loved it. I mean, I call after call, Stevie D, each caller, and here's where it got better. Then all of a sudden, you started having conspiracy theories. Here's what happened, right? They're blaming Adam Schefter. They're blaming Bill Belichick. You could tell that there's a huge divide still up there between Belichick and PED. And you have one side who's blaming Belichick, saying that Belichick, Kraft, and the Patriots leaked the retirement announcement, and so that PED 12 was a little bit upset about that, and that's why. Yeah, oh yeah. There's better ones. We got better things to talk about, but there's better ones. It was just amazing. So I called you back. I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, I laughed for a good 30 minutes. I was going to try to tape it so that we had, some tape to share for the show. I really wanted to share, but it was just so good. It was so good.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Zolak, the former quarterback in the 90s, I think he played 91 and 98. He's got a radio show up there. He's also like their play-by-play guy on the radio on Sundays, and he went off. I mean, he was using words you cannot say on this show because we are a family-friendly show here. So he just went off, and kind of like what you said, it was all calculated. Tom Brady knew exactly what he's doing, and he just can't understand why at the end of the day he didn't at least thank the fans. Like, if you're mad at the organization, what the fans have anything? They just showed you nothing but love. It's not like people called up and said, "Oh, Brady's got to go," right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. If there was one person, and that would have been a bigger knife in the back of the Patriots themselves, Kraft, Belichick. If you would have said, and last but not least, or just before you got to Giselle, I enjoyed my 20 years playing in front of the world's greatest fans. You guys, helped drive me for success, and I love each and every one of you. Couldn't have done it without you. You don't have to say anything about anybody walking down the sidelines. You don't have to say about anything about the guys in the box. And the other person or the other group you snubbed were the trainers. Now, I know you got Alex Guerrero and his mystery bottles and vials and pills and gummies and chews and everything else that Alex Guerrero gave to Julian Edelman. I know you have that relationship, but still, these guys help keep you on the field, right? And they also help keep Drew Bledsoe from coming back on the field to keep you on the field after some unknown player wearing green and white decided to take a cheap shot on the sideline.
A cheap shot. Can't help it. He's got glass for ribs.
But you could have at least acknowledged them, right? You could have acknowledged the ball boys that helped you out at the Deflategate, right? Acknowledge everybody except for Belichick, except for Kraft, right? You didn't have to go that far. Yeah. It's just
Ted Johnson came out today and said that Kraft had he went berserk in the executive offices, knowing that they were omitted. The Patriots. It is bizarre, no matter what happened there. We talked about this before. It's like Derek Jeter doing that to the Yankees and the Yankee fans. I don't know if that relationship can be repaired from something like that. I'm trying to think of Brett Favre. Like Brett Favre, he did the retirement, but that was even different.
It was.
He wasn't mad at the fans. He was mad at the front office. The fans were mad that he wound up ultimately going to Minnesota.
Right.
So I'm trying to find some comparisons there. It's just
I don't think that
really bizarre.
Anything to this extent. I mean, there's been bad separations, right? Whether even look at my hockey team, right? I look at my hockey team, and we have a bad situation going on there. And ultimately, Jack Eichel had to go. But
what's interesting is he comes out with a Twitter thing later. Like, wait a minute. So you don't say anything, and then, 8 hours later, you come out and say, well, you know what? Thank you to the Patriots organization and the fans. Like, hello? Like, you were better off not saying anything and just letting it go.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, if he wanted to do damage control, which I don't think happened today, he could have put out a full-page ad in the newspaper. He could have had commercial spots set up on the radio stations, taking the fans there, doing whatever. None of that came out today. So something really bad happened in that locker room, or that the executive offices there in Kraft Way, that really irked Tom Brady. And what's interesting, was it week 4 they played? It was early in the season they played.
Yeah.
When they played the Bucks played the Patriots in New England, and a story broke saying there was no embrace on the field. There was nothing on the field, right? And everybody's, wow, we don't have to do it on the field. We took it off the field. So the question is, did that really happen? Was it a made-up story to get through that time? And now all of a sudden he's retiring. Maybe there wasn't some type of embrace that was good enough, or Tom felt welcomed enough when he went back to New England in that game. And this was payback for, I don't know, not doing the right thing by Tom Brady there in that week. I don't know.
What did he want a video? He want a 30-minute video? Do you want Spielberg to come out there?
I thought he was going to get a statue there, right?
Well,
the unveiling of his number in the Ring of Honor right there. I don't know.
Hey, Terry, how are you? So, I mean, seriously, in all fairness, we're still regular season. You're still playing, right? They don't usually do those tributes until...
I know, but I'm just trying to think of what's going on in Tom Brady's mind. It's just bizarre that he did not acknowledge the fans. Thank you, Tom Brady, for doing that. So I have a lifetime of laughter.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
The only thing that could be any better, because he's going to get into the Hall of Very Good, is when he goes to the Hall of Very Good, if it's dominated by red, pewter, white, fire the cannons, and nothing but Buccaneer fans there instead of Patriot fans. That would be great.
Yeah, that won't happen. Yeah,
it won't happen.
At some point, they'll kiss and make up and all that good stuff. Brady will throw some type of...
Please.
You're right. You're fair. That's fair. Yeah.
And no statue in front. Kraft, if you got him, Robert Kraft, don't do it.
For all the agonizing losses the Jets have had to Tom Brady, and all the stuff that I've heard from Patriot Nation on the Jets, this is the ultimate payback. The greatest thing that's ever happened to New England sports, right? When he retires, forgets all about you, like you never existed. Oh my God! Wow! Wow! Yeah, that's all I got is wow.
All right, well, we'll follow this one and keep laughing. I again, if you have the time there and you want to laugh, tune into a certain Boston radio sports talk show and just listen to that.
But I do feel bad for the fans, though. In all fairness, I do. I do feel bad for the fans because that's not right. They bought the jerseys. They came out and supported them. They did all the things. They said all the things, right? And to omit the fans,
you're being nice. I don't. I don't like Patriot fan for so many reasons.
I'm not saying that I like the Patriots. I'm not saying I don't like the Patriot fans. I'm just saying what he did to the fans was not was.
But they weren't real fans. They're a bunch of bandwagon jumpers. Ask them who Andre Tippett is, right? They're going to be like, I think I heard that name. Ask them about, any of the old Patriots. They're not going to be able to tell you. They'll tell you, Welker.
So if you say neck roll, would they know what neck roll meant?
They have no clue. They would the neck with Mike Glennon. If Mike Glennon wore the neck roll, would he not look like Grogan?
Dude, he would need a double neck roll.
He might, but seriously, Think about it.
Yeah.
If he had that on, he would look
Yeah.
just like Steve Grogan. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So now in Stevie D, we're getting close to that age, but I really do believe old people should not text. I know it's controversial when I say it, right? Because you want to text the grandkids. You want to text, the old group for the canasta game. You want to have all these different texts going on. But sometimes certain texts should not be allowed, right? And what I'm referring to, let's continue to talk about the Patriots and Bill Belichick that, created, what do they want to say, an S storm, right? Here's the story behind it. So, Brian Flores recently fired from the Miami Dolphins for unknown reasons still, right? But we'll talk about that. Brian Flores is a former Patriot assistant. His name and number is in the Rolodex or in the cell phone contacts of Bill Belichick. Lo and behold, so is Brian Dable. Again, former Patriot coach, right? He's in the Rolodex. Brian Flores, Brian Dable. Remember that, right? And they're very close together in there. So, and actually, we have the text. So let's just show the text. So as you look at the text, Belichick, and we'll read it, says, sounds like you landed. Congrats, right? So already giving congratulations. You hear something I didn't hear? Giants? Well, then hold on. Brian Flores is like, I got an interview on Thursday. I think I have a shot at it. And then Belichick comes back, got it. I hear from Buffalo and New York that you're their guy. You're their guy. All right? Now, again, remember, just landed, haven't had the interview yet. Oh, but of course, Bill, who's got his finger on the pulse of everything, you're their guy. Right? Stevie D, let's.
Yeah. So, and then he says, well, that got it. I hear from blah, 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 blah. That's definitely what I want. I hope you got it right. Thanks. Thanks, coach. Right. So,
Right. And so I think at Flores, he's a little confused. Right? He's a little confused because Belichick is telling him that you got this job, and he's like, "Yeah, that's definitely what I want." And but he doesn't have the job yet, and this is a little odd. But the conversation continues. Again, old people should not text, right? At some point, Bill should have been like, "Oh, wait a minute," right? But he didn't. He didn't, and so Bill continues, right? And so then Bill says, Bill says, first Flores, I interviewed Thursday. I think I have a shot, blah, blah, blah. And then Bill says, or Flores says, Coach, by chance, are you talking to Brian Flores or Brian Dable? Just making sure. And that's where that's where Belichick is like, sorry, I bleeped up.
hey, he owned it. He owned it. Right? He owned it.
It's classic. I mean, it is absolute classic. It's absolute classic when you look at. I mean, he goes, "Sorry, I bleeped up. I double checked and I misread the text. I think they're naming Dable. I'm sorry about that, BB." And then we don't know if there's any more conversation.
Right.
But thanks, Bill. Right? No longer thanks, Coach. Thanks, Bill.
Right.
Right? It got serious. It got real. Let me say this because this is the road that we're headed down. Let me say this: if I am Flores, I'm steamed. Right? I am steamed because I've had phone calls with Schoen. I've had phone calls probably with other people there with the Giants, and you're flying me out under the guise that I have a shot for this. Right? I've proven myself in the NFL. Strong character of men, right? the type of character, type of leader you want as your head coach. I've been in bad situations, and we were able to maybe not reach the pinnacle of the exhibition game, but certainly be competitive to an extent, right? Look at what they did this year, right? Started out 1-7 and make a strong push, had a shot. We always laugh and joke about in the hunt, but made a strong push and had a shot for the playoffs. So I think I have a legitimate chance for this job. And then my guy, Bill Belichick, is telling me that I got the job, right? Almost like, really, are you sure? Because I haven't sat down, only to find out for him to say, "Oh, I'm sorry." Now I'm standing here, right, in LaGuardia, or I don't know where he is, but I'm standing here in LaGuardia, or maybe Newark International Airport, since they're in New Jersey, along with the Jets. Yeah, throw you
Yeah,
guys.
take that shot, man. Right there.
But I'm standing there and I'm confused, right? I am absolutely confused. Why am I here? Why are you bringing me here when Bill knows that I don't have it? Bill was saying congratulations to Dable because he knows that he's got the job, and now here I am.
Yeah, not good. Not a good look for the New York Giants.
No,
Now, where I think Flores mentions that the Giants didn't do the Rooney Rule or if it didn't follow the Rooney Rule, I don't know if he realized that they interviewed Leslie Frazier 5-6 days earlier, the same day they interviewed Brian Dable for the first time, and then they brought Leslie Frazier back a second time
that's right.
before the interview with Brian Flores, right? So
But
he,
I don't know if Frazier got that second one. I know he was scheduled to get the second one.
yes, I did see scheduled. You're right. I'm making an assumption that he had a second interview, but at the end of the day, he did interview
He
back
did have,
with Brian Dable.
and there's a couple ways to look at this, right? And let's be fair. First of all, the Giants' new GM, who is in charge of the coaching search, came from the Buffalo Bills trader, and yes, and so while he was with the Bills, he was able to establish relationships with the entire coaching staff, right? Not just the coordinators. Dorsey as the quarterbacks coach, right? The O line coach, and
Who's now
everybody
with the Giants?
who's now with the Giants, absolutely traitor. So he was able to do all of that. And he saw Dable over the last couple of years be one of the hot OCs out there, right? Who had interviewed with a couple different teams, right? All to fall short of getting that job. But he knew that he liked this guy, right?
Right.
He liked everything about him. So he knew that this was his guy. So the first thing, I I have an issue with the Rooney Rule when it comes to certain circumstances. The concept of the Rooney Rule is good, right? The concept, the idea of it,
Mhm.
but the actual implementation of that gets very flawed. Because why do I have to subject all of these candidates and coaches to a fake interview, a free meal, maybe some swag that, here you go, here's a Giants polo or something like that. Why do I have to do all of that when I know that I have my guy, right? I work with this guy. I know who I'm bringing, right? So I shouldn't have to be subjected to the same level of standards as a new GM or an existing GM looking for a head coach, right? I got my guy. Now, if he would have pulled somebody else from a different team, I would say, you know what, all bets are off on that one. You should
Right.
go
Sure.
through the
Yep.
process. You brought your guy from your team. Shouldn't have happened, right? You brought up Leslie Frazier. I don't know how Leslie Frazier feels, right? Did he feel like he had a legitimate shot? Maybe. I don't know what was told to him, and maybe he did interview, right? I'm not a big fan of Leslie Frazier when he was a head coach. I thought he was very
Right.
pedestrian, right? And we're a passing league now, right? You want to innovative, so to bring Leslie, that was to me when I heard that knowing that you want Dable. That was the Rooney Rule interview, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, 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 yeah. But I'm just saying that the point of when he mentioned the Giants, who I'm not a fan of, right? I'd love to see the Giants go down for something, right? Personally, I just not a Giant guy, but in fairness, they did interview Leslie Frazier, and he just mentioned that in the spirit of the Rooney, like they used him for the Rooney Rule, which is not the case. What I just they just used him. I don't know why they did it. If you were going in that direction, I don't know why the Giants did it, just to make sure did we get the right guy. Maybe somebody in the Giants house said, you know what, we better just check. Let's check him with Brian Flores. Maybe we're missing something. They brought him in the 23rd hour just to make sure that maybe if Brian Flores really blew them away, that they would change their mind. I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't. No,
Right?
no, because it was a done deal. The ink was dry. It wasn't.
Well, we don't know. Well, we don't. Technically speaking, we don't know it. Like Bill Belichick says, I'm hearing things, but he doesn't know for sure.
But if you're hearing things, you're not going to say congratulations.
Did they? Okay, how about this? Could it have been possible that when they scheduled the interview, they weren't 100% sure on Brian Dable, and then they were, and then it was too late to get out of it? I don't know. It's
fair.
I don't know.
I don't think there was any doubt in Brian Dable, personally. You're coming from a guy, Stevie D.
No, I hear you. You're bringing people you know. You're bringing people you know.
I'm bringing you, right?
Yeah, but yes. What are you bringing me?
Well, yeah, you want to be my head coach? I'm bringing you, right? So anybody else that comes along with this is they're just fluff.
Yeah. You see it in business, right? When there's change in leadership, and leadership brings in the people that they know and trust, and things like that. And it's bigger, obviously, in the NFL. That's what they do, and I think it was pretty safe to say that Brian Dable was going to be Schoen's guy. But really, the issue that I really have is not so much of the Giants, but what's coming out of this whole thing is just minority hiring as a whole in fair opportunities. There's 9 openings, and I think 6 are now filled, and there's not one minority hire. And we're saying that there's nobody qualified
with the seventh pending. Well, and you've talked about this, right? And you keep bringing it up to me. Excuse me. You keep bringing it up to me.
Because it bothers me. It really, truly bothers me. I don't understand it. I don't.
So here's
we get retreads that come back around for no reason.
Well, here's where I think the problem is when you look down the sidelines and you look at the coordinators, there's not a lot of coordinators, right? There are a couple, and we know Tampa has 2 on the staff, right? And you have some of the other guys, but they're not. There's not a lot of the coordinators. Everybody wants to talk about Eric Bieniemy, right? I think that there's an issue with Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid. Eric Bieniemy, in my mind, needs to get out of Kansas City. He needs to get away from Andy Reid, and he needs to be able to call games. He needs to be able to, kind of establish himself as the OC, right? And not let people say, well, it's because of Andy, right? That will forever be your downfall because people will not see you as the great coordinator. And I don't know if he is a great coordinator, right? And it is unfair for him to have to jump to another team. It is unfair for him to have to coach and develop and train a different quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes. It is unfair for him to have to go to a situation, right, that is not tailor-made and that is working so well like a machine.
Does Matt Nagy hurt Eric Bieniemy because Nagy failed?
Oh, here's Lamar talking about PED 12. There's some validity to that, right? Because Bieniemy was a replacement for Nagy, right? And everybody watched Nagy go up to Chicago, had one good year, and then all of a sudden fell flat on his face. And now where is he? He's looking for a job, right? So that's a fair and valid point. I don't think that Eric Bieniemy is regarded in the same vein that a Brian Dable may have, and some of the others that got hired. Now, if you look at last year's hirings, they were a bunch of head scratchers. We had no idea who half these people were,
Yeah.
right? Like, where did he come from, right? Guys coming from college, guys coming from, like not even offensive coordinators, just a bunch of guys from wherever.
Staley to the Chargers. That
Yeah,
was a soccer, and then the defensive coordinator from the Colts who went to the Eagles. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Starts with an S. And he turned out to be a playoff team at 9-8. I did a good job with a young quarterback and got them
Jason.
playing well in the end and got them in the playoffs. Jay's team, but eh,
You see, if you get more minority coaches that are the coordinators down the sideline,
Mhm.
you'll see more that will be
yeah, sure.
actual head coaches. But until that dam breaks, right, and you just have the handful of guys, and how they became the handful of guys, how the Todd Bowles did, right, the Brian Leftwich did, the Eric Bieniemy, and some of the others, how they did, I don't know, right? Um,
Aaron Glenn's the sleeper name
I heard the
in
name.
New Orleans. Yep.
I heard the name.
Yep.
And what's a shame is that when you remember guys playing, and now they're in their second career, and you realize you're getting old. You're getting old. So I did hear that name. But there's more, right? You think we're just here talking about minority coaches? The disparity in the coaching
Can I
staff.
say one thing about before we move on about Brian Flores?
Oh no, this is
I,
still all about Flores.
I know, but about his coaching, right?
Yeah.
So I've been reading a lot saying, well, oh, he's overrated. He was one game over 500. He's not a good coach. Blah 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 blah. He took a franchise that traded everybody that was worth anything.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Had to rebuild this from scratch with a bad football team. At one point, I think they even trying to say that the Dolphins at one point was saying they had worse talent than the Jets and that they could go 0-16 in 2019. Right. So when you think of that way, and then his second year, he's battling a rookie Tua and going with Fitzmagic, right? Who's
Which
never
only good for 3 games.
right. And he chose to bring that off the bench to relieve Tua to get that magic right on those 3 games. But had a phenomenal 10-6. I think Miami went in second season, and this year started off 1-7. Because well, they started off 1-7, but when you start off 1-7, you know how hard that is to hold the locker room at 1-7. How hard that is.
Well, and
then
think
you
about,
get them at
think
9
about
and 8.
1-7. Think about your 1-7. Tua gets hurt second game season, gets Buffalo, goes out basically the first series of the game. You're playing with Jacoby Brissett, right? No disrespect to Jacoby Brissett, who was a starter with the Colts, but Jacoby Brissett is not even, in my opinion, or was not a capable backup for the Dolphins, and so they struggled, and that's how they got to 1-7. And then you're bringing back a fragile Tua, but you found a little bit of magic, and you ran. I'm sorry, I just wanted
No,
to make
you're
sure.
good to tell the story, right?
Yeah.
But he finishes them 9-7, and then all of a sudden it comes out, well, he doesn't know how to communicate to Tua, and he doesn't know how to communicate, and we're going in a different direction. Like you and I sat when we not on the show. It was quite evident in 2019 that Brian Flores was going to be a good coach.
Yeah.
It solidified that last year.
He was one of our Coach of the Year candidates last year. Was it last year?
No, when he went 10-6. That was my Coach of the Year was Brian Flores at 10-6. What he did with that roster team, right? Yeah. We knew that. Well, oh man, we're gonna have a really good coach in this division for a long time, and that's scary, right? In our division, we don't want that, right? So it was just really weird. Now, I'm not happy the man lost his job. I'm happy that the Dolphins made probably one of the biggest mistakes you can make in firing that head coach, and that's going to put your program back years.
5 years minimum.
Because one, the players are probably don't know what the heck's going on. This doesn't make any sense. So the free agency, there's probably going to be a mass exodus of anybody that doesn't want to now come back if they have a deal somewhere else. It's like you said, 5 years. And but I feel for Brian Flores because he got an extremely raw deal, and we're going to get into how raw that deal is here.
Well, no time like the present. Let's jump into this. So I don't even know how to explain this, right? Yeah, I'm telling you, yesterday was the soap opera of all soap operas for the NFL, right? And I got this thing called work, right? And it gets in the way of really being able to sit down with my popcorn and just watch everything as it's unfolded. So I'm coming up to this late, right? I'm driving home. I'm looking at my phone. You're going at it, right? There's other people. I'm like, what in the world's happening, right? Here, I think I'm scooped and get ready to drop. And then all of a sudden I see you guys got this, right? And buried in the middle of it, because the first thing is Brian Flores is suing the NFL. I'm like, oh, right? So first thing I think about, you're done.
Yeah, right? That's right. That's right. He's never coaching again. I think I put that in the text. Brian Flores will never coach again.
That's a wrap, right? The owners will not allow you to come back as a coach after doing this. So you're like, okay.
Don't worry, the USFL.
Well, you could. The Rock, isn't the Rock over there in the USFL? Or
yes. He's the other league.
Okay. So then I keep going and I'm looking at this and I'm like, you're naming the Giants and the Broncos and some others that are in there. I'm just like, I'm trying to really comprehend and grasp everything that was going on with that, right? And then in the middle of it is probably the bombshell of all bombshells, right? We can have the discussion about the Rooney Rule. We can have the discussion about minority coaches being hired, right? It's something that has to change. It will change. How it changes, we don't know. Personally, get rid of the Rooney Rule to start with, right? And maybe have some other parameter that you would judge off of. Like that needs to go. But forget all of that. In the middle of the article, it talks about Stephen Ross going to Brian Flores and saying, we need to lose, right? Now, they use the word tank, and some people don't know what tanking means. And tanking is something that I know well from being a Buffalo Bills fan. It's something I know well from being a Buffalo Sabres fan, because that's what we do, right? Every year, about the midway point, we realize, well, except for my Bills over the last 3 or 4 years, right? But we get to a certain midway point, we realize the season's lost, right? What do we need to do? We need to get draft picks. We need to get younger, get better. Don't win another game. And I've said this all through the 2000s, the 2010s, right? I'm done. I need so-and-so and I need so-and-so, right? Let me get that top 5 pick. And so what was conveyed to Brian Flores, at least allegedly, right? All of this is allegedly, CBD, because we don't have both sides. But allegedly, Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, set up a benefit, if you will, a payout that if he were to lose games, he would receive an extra $100,000.
Yeah. It's called the Tank Gate.
There you go. Now
I'm calling it Tank Gate.
All right, and we'll post it out there. So for it to be something to come out like that, it blows your mind, right? Those are conversations I know, and I'm not going to go too far in the Wayback Machine, but I know, and everybody, that the whole world knew when Connor McDavid, leaving football, when Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel were in the NHL, getting ready for the NHL draft, my Sabres wanted that number 1 pick. Right? Everybody knew it. And they did everything in their power to make sure they had the most lottery balls so that they would get the number 1 pick. Right? Karma bit them. But they did things like they traded the goalie. Goalie had like 2 shutouts in like 3 games. They were like, that's it. Trade him, right?
You're going to ruin everything, kid. You're going to ruin it all.
They had guys that were scoring goals. Gone, shipped them out, right? They had a little stretch late in the season where everybody was getting worried, right? Because all of a sudden they started winning games. And they're playing with a bunch of kids coming up from the minors, right? From Rochester coming up, and they're playing. Well, you got to go too, kid, right? If you're not down with the program, right? And they even brought in Ted Nolan. Well, I'm a big fan of Teddy Nolan. You know Teddy Nolan as well. But they brought him in, and I think he came in, can't prove it, but with the understanding that we don't want to win, right? We want to tank, right? That is tanking. The essence of tanking. You throw away the season so that you can get the first draft pick, or you can get the most number of lottery balls, right? Karma bit my Sabres. It's just karma. The hockey god said we don't like what you did, right? And so we ended up with the second pick, right? We get this bum Jack Eichel, right? Yeah, he's a bum. That's right, I said it. And we get this bum Jack Eichel, right, who can't be a leader, wants to whine and complain. Guess where he's from, by the way? Oh, yeah, Boston. Go figure. But we get this bum. And so then, he turns out to be, now he's broken down and he wants to have his new surgery. So we shipped him off. And hopefully, the guys we got, Tuck and Krebs, can do something. But I'm not here to talk about hockey. I'm here to talk about the tank, right? That bit us. Right? And when you look at the situation in Miami for the Dolphins, it was the same scenario in the mind of Stephen Ross, but the execution of the plan was so flawed. It was so flawed, right, that you're going to actually offer cash payments for a loss. Just watch what Murray did with the Sabres. You could have done the same thing. Oh, wait, you did do the same thing. You traded quality players. Laramie Tunsil, right? We went back and forth on this one. How do you trade Tunsil, right? If you're thinking about reestablishing and rebuilding, you need building blocks, right? Building blocks don't come from an outside linebacker. Building blocks don't come from a wide receiver, right? Those are guys that, I'm not going to say they're a dime a dozen, but those are guys that you can find. But to have a strong core of an offensive line and a strong core of a defensive line, especially at left tackle, you can't find that. You go through every draft. You had Penny Sewell this year, right? Who everybody said Cincinnati should have drafted. Oh, you got to get Penny Sewell. Got to get Penny Sewell, right? They said, no, we're going to take Jamar Chase. Okay. Now you got the Lions with Penny Sewell, right? And you got the Bengals with Jamar Chase. Guess who's going to get Rookie of the Year? It's to you, Stevie D. Guess who's getting Rookie of the Year?
Not Zach Wilson?
He finished a distant 23rd.
Well, it's not going to be Penny Sewell. Penny Sewell's not running on Rookie of the Year.
He's not, right? And so, you just look at the way that these things transpire over the course. You just can't try to manufacture good players and trade away everybody else. You have to have your cores, and they have to stay. You have got to get these guys.
Well, again, tanking. It's going to be interesting how this all pans out with sports betting. And I said it to you. That was my biggest thing, right? Well, my biggest thing was sports betting, and the laws around sports bribery. And when you pay, if they can prove that Stephen Ross offered $100,000 per loss. Now, what we don't know is, did Brian Flores accept $100,000, which would be a whole now. Whoo! Now you got both sides. Oh,
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did. But I don't know how serious he was. But just in the mere fact that he asked for it, that's a problem. Because how do I know?
Did you say somebody else?
There's an unnamed person that was in the room that can corroborate that Stephen Ross offered Brian Flores $100,000 for every loss.
That's insane.
Right. That is insane, because now if I'm a sports bettor and I'm armed with this information, now I know that the Miami Dolphins were in cahoots and they stole my money. I mean, that's a huge problem.
Or you're doubling up, right?
Right. I mean, Pete Rose, right, banished from baseball.
Yes.
Right. Donahoe, the referee for the NBA, got caught up in the scam. and now there's something brewing in the NFL, and typical Shield is going to try and bury it all and act like it didn't happen, like Spygate, and destroy all the evidence. And this is much bigger than just destroying evidence. People really need to investigate this outside the NFL.
I'm glad you brought that up. Just to go back to Flores for a minute with the lawsuit. This is what really bugs me. And sometimes certain things happen, and you can say a lot by not saying anything or by missaying something. And where I'm going with this, the NFL. So Brian Flores puts the lawsuit out, right? It gets published within 2 hours or less than 2 hours.
Oh, I'm glad you're bringing this up. Go ahead.
The NFL issues a statement that this is without merit.
Yeah, how is that even possible?
Come on, man.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Come on. You can't say that. You cannot say that. Everybody, if you're a sports fan, you know how to retire, right? You know how you get fired and retire. You know, hey, I need to take some time off, spend it with the family and with the kids.
Right.
And, I just need a break. Quote, unquote, you got fired, right? But you reached a mutual settlement, right?
Well, you have the NCAA got sanctions coming.
Yes. What are you talking about, Urban? So, in this scenario, we all know how it plays out, right? You know what you're supposed to say to the media, right? And all you had to do is write up a statement. We take these allegations and this lawsuit very seriously, right? We believe in equality for all players, and that's the way we want to conduct our league. We're going to investigate this, and at the present time, we don't have any comment. Period. Done. Right? I've heard that 1,000 times. You've heard it 1,000 times, and our listeners have heard this 1,000 times. But you come back with instantly, this is without merit.
I don't even know how that's feasible to say that.
By you coming out and saying this is without merit makes me really want to question, and now I start to believe on the other side what they're saying, and you're trying to hide. And it goes back to everything that we've said, the antitrust, right? That they hide behind the shield. They're trying to keep everything at bay. But this is like the doomsday scenario for the NFL. If it is played out properly, this is truly doomsday. You have inequality in the league, and then you have gambling. Doomsday. I mean, you're getting hit from both sides.
I am not a fan of the sports betting. I'm not a fan of the league promoting it. There's a lot of people that have gambling problems. I know it's not everybody's problem in this world. I don't have that problem. So why can't I sports bet? But when you introduce sports betting and the NFL's behind it, any little thing that is off, you're now putting your league and your shield in the forefront, in the crosshairs. Because how do I know you're not into who?
You got in bed with gambling. You moved to Vegas. Everybody and I was a huge Rozelle fan for everything that Rozelle did. I was a big Tagliabue fan for everything that he did. And they, to a man, stayed away from Vegas. There were calls for Vegas for year after year after year. No. And now, your friend, right? Roger.
my friend.
Don't you guys call each other?
I'll try and get him on the show next week. I'll see if I can get him.
But your friend Roger, right, decides, this is a good move. This is a good move. How could this be a good move? And to your point, putting yourself there, the influence of gambling and what it can do and the repercussions, down the line, who knows what we can be seeing on Sundays, if we're seeing anything at all on Sunday.
I'm telling you, if I'm a sports bettor, I don't know what to believe, because this can really this tanking with the Dolphins in the pay. This is not just an NFL problem. This is the NBA trying to get the lottery ball. It's the same thing in baseball. Baseball's been accused for this for a few years now, with teams purposely losing so they can get the number one pick. But again, when you have sports betting, it throws it all off. How do I know that you're not asking your manager to lose games? And now you're fixing a game, even though your intent may not be for gambling, but you are now throwing games, and you're not.
But so let me, to your point, let me ask you. And now we have to be careful as we talk about this, right? Because I just told you, and you do the same thing, Stevie D. You get to a certain point, right? That midway point. Does it look good or does it look bad?
Yeah,
Right?
if it doesn't look bad, you might as well lose, right? But as a fan, I'm about the draft pick. But you still got professional athletes that are getting paid, going for their next contract, putting things on film, right? Think about this.
But if I finish 8-8 or 8-9 now, this 17 games, you're killing me. But if I finish 8-9 or 7-10, right, you got to start using fingers and toes to add this stuff up, right? But if I finish 8-9 or 7-10, we all know that that's a waste, right? I'm picking 22. I'm picking 17.
No, I hear you, but think about this. I'm a quarterback, and if my team, which I don't know, my coach is now said we got to lose. I'm fighting to keep to being a starter in the league. I'm looking to get paid. Now all of a sudden you're calling in these bogus plays and things that don't make any sense. You're hurting my career, all because the owner is telling you to lose games.
But
Like
that's not new.
No, yeah, but see, right now, because there's betting involved, it's now bringing it more to the forefront that this
But
is
betting isn't new either.
No, but it is now sponsored by the NFL. It is now sponsored by the NFL. Every time I watch a football game, I see 13 commercials now for sports betting during the course of the game. So now you're a sponsor of it. Now you're promoting it. See, if I'm not promoting it, I don't have anything. You can't come after me. I'm not promoting gambling on sports betting. Now all of a sudden you're backing it. You're now an owner of it, and you have to take the good and the bad because you know they're getting paid for the sponsorship for the sports betting. The NFL's making money off of it from the commercials. I'm sure they're getting money from Vegas now because they're promoting it. We all know people are getting, side money here. So it's a big problem. And I just think throughout sports, NFL's the only one that's right now openly promoting it. But I think Major League Baseball is going to get on that bandwagon because they've now, I think, said it's okay.
But hockey is actively promoting it as well.
Oh, is it? I don't watch hockey or basketball.
It's ridiculous. Even the skills competition for the All-Star game, which is coming up this week, they're at the Bellagio doing certain things at the Bellagio. What is this? Right? Patches bet sports, right? And it's a big issue over in Europe, right? And I mean, I hear what you're saying, because I was on the opposite side, but to your point, once you get in bed with it, then you own it, right? And you're right. That's the difference. I can go with you on that. So, to the interesting thing, though, will be, do any of the allegations from Brian Flores, do they resonate and do they have teeth? And will they be able to, continue that fight against the NFL, or are they going to be swept under the rug, right? We've seen a lot of things in the NFL is like Gotti, right? John Gotti, because the NFL is like the Teflon Don, right? You throw whatever you want, and their team of lawyers and their massive bank accounts and everything else, they'll wear you down and it goes away, right?
Washington football team is another example.
There you go.
With all the corruption or whatever you want to call it that ran rampant in that organization.
Well, and think about it. It was big for what, 3 weeks? But see, that part of that is us as football fans as well, right? Because it was hot. Middle of the season, it was hot, and everybody was talking about it. But our attention is to our teams, right? Not necessarily, oh, by the way, you call the Commanders now? Is that the new name?
That's the new name.
Commanders?
The Washington has gone Commando. I mean, Commanders.
Right. But hey, thank goodness they got some, because I keep forgetting the Washington football team, and I lose it there. But where I was going with that is that, part of it is our fault too, because you hear it, you talk about it, we talked about it on the show, but then our interest went
Sure.
to so and so is playing such and such. Did you see the catches? And all of a sudden this goes from page 1 to page 2 to page 6 to not even being written about. They're not writing about it right now, right? Now they've been able, and Snyder has been able to outlast that backlash that was coming at him. And now he's like, hey, I got a new team name, I got new merchandise, got a new logo, right? Give me more money, and that's where it is. So, all right, Stevie D. And what I will say to all of you that are out there watching the podcast or listening to the stream on your favorite podcast platform, not only am I begging for a like and a subscribe, please give us a like and a subscribe, but more than that, right? We've had a pretty good debate here on the topics for Brian Flores, on Stephen Ross, even on PED 12, right? Send us some comments. Let's keep this debate going. Let's not be like how the topics happen, right? When you have something that has meat to it, right? Let's continue that discussion. Let's continue that dialogue. What we're going to try to do is bring folks onto the show, right? That have some level of input as to the topic, and so we'd love to hear from you. Again, text, tweet, at Real OWSports for Instagram as well as for Twitter. But we're not done yet, Stevie D. I just want to get that out there, right? We're not done yet. So there's a guy, right, who is near and dear to Official Word Sports, right? He hasn't been around in OWSports days, right? He's Official Word Sports guy, and we made sure that he was on. Or we made reference to him every show. And then, remember I told you, I just said the page 1, page 2, page 6, and then you're gone. Well, just like that, he was going, right? And I think that he felt lonely. I think he felt abandoned, right? Because lo and behold, there he is back on the front page saying, please talk to me, right? I'm your guy. And we're talking about Hugh Jackson, right?
Because the Bengals are in the Super Bowl, so he's got to come back out now, right?
This is the if I was there, he's so bad. He is so bad. But so now Stevie D, he's got to hitch his wagon somewhere, right? And what does he say? Well, when I was in Cleveland, they asked me to lose, and they paid me. So you have just admitted to a crime.
Yes, you did, and that's back to that sports bribery crime, which is carries serious penalties. So Hugh Jackson literally implicated himself. Wow.
You know that
Come on, Hugh.
The world's dumbest criminals, right?
Yeah.
They'll show the guy coming back to the scene of crime, right? Or the guy goes and robs something, but he has his pants sagging and they fall down and he trips himself, right? Stuff like that. Well, yeah, it's same scenario, Hugh. You can go up there with the guy whose baggy pants caused him to trip as he's running out after stealing, whatever, right? Because you decided to just out yourself. I got nothing for you, Stevie D. That's your guy, though.
I'm extremely disappointed. He did not get that from the School of Italian Culture. I can tell you that.
Right?
Well, no, they'll roll on you now. They'll roll on somebody, but they're not rolling to the police and say, "Oh, by the way, I committed this crime." Like,
it's me. I'm the guy you're looking for right here.
I am utterly confused that he would do that. He could have hitched his wagon and saying, there's bad hiring practices in the NFL and jumped on that bandwagon and everything would have been fine.
Yeah.
But why would you say that? Yeah, my owner offered me that, well, I don't know if he said that he took the money. But I'll tell you, I don't know if you saw this, and it's out there. A former quarterback decided to send out a tweet. That was the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Not a very well-known quarterback, but one that was drafted by the Cleveland Browns during his time. DeShone Kizer sends out a tweet. Dot, 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 dot.
Oh,
Because he's a quarterback there. And if you're playing to lose, did you hurt my NFL career by not putting me in a position to succeed because you had to lose games?
well, no, Deshaun Kaiser put himself in the
But hey, as a young, impressionable quarterback, we all know if you don't have good coaching, that you're really not going to really succeed in the NFL. And we all know he really didn't have good coaching, but did he really not have good coaching because they were trying to lose? Like,
I want to hear from like Joe Thomas. Let me hear from Joe Thomas.
ooh.
Yeah. What do you think, Joe? Well, why do you think I retired? There you go. No, I'm not starting anything. I'm really not. That's left between Hugh and Jimmy Haslam, right? Those guys can.
And it may be more than that, right? Could the FBI have to join in on something like this because about sports bribery and things like that? Is that an FBI case? Is that something where the U.S. government's got to step in? Because it's a pretty big deal. That is this is, if any scandal that could hit any major sports, this is a big deal. We talked about steroids with baseball. This is puppy chow. That's puppy chow compared to this sports bribery. I'm trying to think if there was a big point shaving scandal. I know the NBA with the
this goes back to Shoeless Joe, probably as big as Shoeless Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I know there was a point shaving in college basketball.
The mob was in the whole thing on Arizona State. They actually did a movie on it. It's on Netflix. It's actually pretty good, and it just details all the way through where the guys came up and how the first one started. And he was just like, "Hey, I want you to win. I'm not asking you to lose. I just need you to win by." And
are you talking about the one that started with UMass?
No, that's another one.
Right, because that was the Italian mob there on there. That I know Henry Hill was involved in that one, and
right, that's right. Yeah. No, this is Arizona State.
Okay,
and but it's crazy. The crazy thing is that it's all over the place, right? And it's very lucrative to see. I can see the point shaving for, especially in college athletics, and especially before NIL, where kids weren't making any money, and you could put flash $10,000, which is nothing to the gambler, nothing to the mob, right? You can put that kind of money in front of them, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that," right? What am I hurt? I'm still winning, right? And that's the key. I just need you to win. That's how they get you. You can still win. Just don't win by 20. Just win by 6. I could do that, right? We still get the win. We move on, and then it happens, and they get that 10, and then just like with this guy, I think it was Steven Smith. Just like he did, right? Next thing you know, he gets a little bit of pocket money. It's more than pocket money, but it's a little bit of pocket money. Gets the new car, gets the rims, gets the tint, gets the gold, gets the diamonds, right? And everybody's like, "Where's this kid getting all this stuff from?" Right? And that's how it blew up. It's gambling. To your point, gambling is not good in sports. It isn't. We all do it, right? Whether it be fantasy football, whether it be the daily fantasy leagues, or whether it is, doing the big time gambling, going to Vegas and, or having a friend that knows a guy and you can place that. But I do want us, DVD, as we head into we're derelict of our duty, Stevie D. There was football this weekend.
There was? Right. I was so involved in the last 24 hours.
Football.
That was football this week?
So, first, let me say congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Congratulations. Well deserved. I was very surprised, but I was very happy. And I think all of Bill's Mafia was happy the way that it turned out, right? Again, the Omen number is 13. Right, it's just 13. Please understand that unlucky 13. It's written in everything. So you had to come back with 13 seconds in the divisional game. You had Patrick Mahomes taking 13 seconds off the clock before giving the ball back to the Bengals. Right, you can count 13 all over the place. Crazy game, Stevie D, and obviously due to time we can't go that long, but crazy game because everybody says the game turned on one play. I don't believe it turned on that play, and that's the last play before the half, right? That's where
I think you're going in the locker room. I don't know if you could say that turned on that particular play.
well,
It was not a smart play by Mahomes. You should have thrown it away. 1 second left, kicked the field goal.
yep.
You're up by 14 going into halftime. But I don't think on the road that was a momentum killer.
I don't either.
No,
It was a saving grace, is what it was. I mean, the Bengals can walk out like just a sigh of relief of, oh, thank goodness, but not walking away, jumping up and down that they did something, right? You're still in this big gap on the road to a team that statistically is far better.
Right.
What just happened is that Pat Mahomes ran out of gas. I'm going to say he ran out of gas. That switch went off because I don't think that he's that cocky of a player because he'll go after you. He'll put up some numbers, but he couldn't. Or is there the enemy? Let's go back here.
It was weird. Like, some players could get this God complex. Like, I can run backwards and I can make all these miracle plays. And unfortunately, in that particular game, those some call it hero ball, whatever you want to call it, it just didn't work. It just wasn't working. Him running around and the Bengals between Hubbard, 94, who had an outstanding game, and Hendrickson, I think was the right end edge rusher. They had a phenomenal game. And they what's the Achilles heel for Patrick Mahomes? They got pressure on him and they got him running around. But the difference was these guys were able to chase him down and make the plays. Like that play at the end where Hubbard was delayed coming in on the 3-man pressure. And then he said, enough of this. I can't have this guy hanging out here all day. And he took off. How he was able to contain him and then make the play was an awesome play by Hubbard. That was such an athletic play. You see so many times where players are overcommitting and letting the quarterbacks get away. He really contained Mahomes really well, and then like a shark just went after the prey and made the play at the end. So I just thought Mahomes is running around, bit him. Now, 9 out of 10 games or 99 out of 100 games, it works.
It didn't work before. I mean, we could not. You want to talk about bad?
There was some missed tackles though. There was over pursuing.
But not as much. You just didn't. I mean, you had him and he was gone. He was almost Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick-ish, right? Where you think you have him and then he's gone. He wasn't breaking like Josh Allen, breaking free of tackles or Ben. They were grasping air, and I just couldn't understand it. I couldn't get my arms around it. And I don't think it's much with the over pursuit with him. Over pursuit and bad angles with Hill and with everybody else. He was magical. That's the best I could say. Remember, I'm at step 7. Don't push me back to step 1. So he was magical. All right, we're gonna go
like step 7 Vince. I don't like step 1 Vince, so I'm not going there.
we're just gonna go with that one. And so when I watched him, that magic faded away against Cincinnati because now all of a sudden, even though he tried to get away or he had opportunities to get out of sacks and out of danger, he still was putting himself in danger. Not to mention they were doing it with 4, they were dropping 7, and they were covering every inch of that field, and so it made it very difficult to find the open guy.
I thought Andy Reid's play calling, he went away from the run. They were gashing Cincinnati in that first half. Hilaire was doing good. McKinnon was amazing another week in a row, gashing him for huge yardage. And it's like it was null and void in the second half. And I thought that was strange that they went pass happy in the second half and went away from what was working. So I wasn't happy there.
That's a topic I want us to talk about, right? Because everybody's big into this whole pass, right? But do you hurt yourself when you have a quarterback of the ilk of Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers, somebody like that, and you feel like you have, even though something's working and something else isn't working, but you feel obligated because you have that guy under center that you have to pass, right? Why can't it be 40 runs and 20 passes? Now, we see this with substandard quarterbacks. But if the guy is hot, it's all. What do they say? You play the hot hand, right? Sometimes you just won't be the MVP, Pat Mahomes,
Yeah.
right? It's going to be Jerick McKinnon, right? We saw with Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman was never of the same as these other guys, and so Emmett would run 8 consecutive times, and
Yeah.
Aikman would be fine with it. So
Yeah.
that's what we need to look
Yeah.
into.
I gotta get a Jet reference in here on this, and
This
yeah,
ought to be good.
yeah, it is good. It is good, right?
So
So
when we had
when
Richard
the,
Todd in
no,
Freeman,
when the Jets back in the day won the Super Bowl in Super Bowl III, um, and we have we have the hardware. We actually have the hardware, but in all seriousness, Joe Namath was the guy, the passer in the NFL, right? He was known for throwing the football, gunslinger, shotgun, throwing around. When he was in the Super Bowl, Coach Weeb Eubank went up to him and said, "All right, let's go." And he turned around to the coach and says, "Hey, coach, we've been doing it all day, and we should just continue to run the ball. That's what's working. I don't need to throw the ball. Let's just run." And in the whole fourth quarter of that Super Bowl, he did not throw one pass because the goal was to win. And he saw that they couldn't stop us running the football. Let's chew the clock because we can get the first down. And the game was over, and that's won the game. And where you're going with it is if it's running, and obviously different era from the 60s to now.
sure.
And passing is such a bigger deal today. I look at Andy Reid and I say, you cost your team a chance at the Super Bowl because if you were to run the ball until they could stop you, because in that third quarter, you punted 3 times in a row. Like it was like 3 and outs. So you were done. And all because you didn't run the football. You took out what didn't work. Think about if you ran the football, got a couple of first downs, then you can throw the ball. Mm-hmm. Everything opens up. And to me, the Bengals said, they're not going to run the football. We're going to change our defense now. And now Mahomes' looks weren't the same, and it was different. It's so bizarre. And but Andy Reid, when he was with the Eagles, I mean, that's one of the reasons why he got fired in Philly, right? He was like 63 pass, right, 37% runs, and it wasn't working. You get very predictable, and you can coach that. You can stop that and run himself out of town. I'm not saying he's running himself out of town in Kansas City. I'm just saying he has tendencies like he's bad with clock management. With his timeout scenarios, he's not very good. Although I will say there was a weird play, and again, it's what drives me nuts about the NFL. It was on fourth down. On fourth down, it bugs me. It was clear that they had that first down on that run play coming out of halftime. It was clear watching it. Mm-hmm. If I'm the line judge, that running back got past that line. Mm-hmm. He had a burn. He wound up wasting a timeout because he called the timeout. And then he challenged the play. He won the challenge, and he lost the timeout. It's inexcusable in this day in the NFL and that he had to lose a timeout or waste a challenge on that play. That was clear when the play happened. I'm like, oh, that's a first down. You clearly saw the guy's arm go way past the marker. Those things still bother me. Those little things like that just bother me that's wasted. But anyway, congratulations to the Bengals and Joe and Jamar and it's a pretty amazing story about Joe Burrow, right? Won the national championship second year with LSU, and now he's playing for a Super Bowl chance, Super Bowl title in his second year. Congratulations, Zach Taylor, right?
Pretty amazing how they drafted a guy who can't catch a football, right? And then what they said in all through training camp, this guy can't catch it. That was a easy pick. Okay.
Nobody realized that he was going through some personal stuff, and his mind was distracted. It can happen to anybody.
Absolutely,
that kid's a special talent.
Now let's go to the other side. So if I'm in the city of Cleveland, I have to be saying, what in the way? Who did I do anything to? Right? You stole my team. Right? They go to Baltimore. A few years later, they're winning the exhibition game, right? So now I'm here, right? And it's just been futility and just hardship and everything else. Finally, I got a team that looks like it could do something. Let me go get who I think is probably the premier wide receiver, or at least to be had, right? Go get OBJ. I got the quarterback who I think is going to be great, right? I got all the pieces. I got Myles Garrett. right? Had Jadeveon Clowney. I'm set over here.
He's got Chubb and Hunt as the running backs.
And I forgot, yes, right. I'm set. I'm ready to go. Meanwhile, this underachieving team that's in my state, right? More over the western part of the state, they can't do anything. We'll be better than them. We'll get to the playoffs. We'll get to the exhibition game before them, right? But then it just implodes right in front of their face. OBJ says, "Get me away from Baker," right? Baker's like, "I could still do it." Baker's like, "Oh, my shoulder is bent." No, you're still playing, right? It becomes a dumpster fire, right? Myles Garrett even starts posting that whenever he takes a picture, he gets a drug test, right? Did you see that one? That he can't put anything on Instagram because the NFL wants to come at him for another drug test, right? Whole other story. Just a dumpster fire there. And where does OBJ go? He goes to the Rams. And as a Cleveland Brown fan, you know they had to be rooting for Kansas City, and they had to be rooting for San Francisco. And guess what, Cleveland? Your day was made again because Kansas City lost and San Francisco lost. And I mean, really, I thought it was tough being a Bills fan. Whew, that's got to really hurt. That's really got to hurt. But congratulations to OBJ, right? He showed out. He said the problem is what's happening in Cleveland. Get me out of here. Let me show you what I can do. Played well, right? Had almost 100 yards in the first half. But the one thing I will say in this, we can go wherever we want to go on this one. But the one thing I want to say, the third to the last play of the game was by far the worst play that I have seen in playoff football, right? You can talk about the Jackie Smith drop. You can talk about the Norwood miss. You can talk about all of those, right? This was not an effort mistake. This was a mental mistake. And a mental mistake under 2 minutes, down by 3, having to go, at least like 50 yards. I need you to be fully.
Was it a 3-point game or a 4-point game?
It was a 3-point game.
Okay.
You needed the field because they came down, kicked the field goal, went up 3. All you have to do is get down the field for a field goal, right? And trying to, maybe he's a good friend of yours. Maybe you're trying to show up your boy Carson Wentz. I don't know, right?
He went to the school of Carson Wentz.
Right. I mean, these guys, maybe they went to the Manning Passing Academy. I don't know, right? I have no clue. But what they did and what he did, and people are not harping on this. People are not killing him for this the way that they should. He just haphazardly just flung the ball. To your point, if you touch the ball, you should have it. I agree with you, right?
But wide receiver was not ready for that ball. I think he just thought he was going to go down, take the sack, and he was not expecting the ball to be, shovel pass or whatever you want to call that.
Absolutely. You can't throw it falling down to the ground just like, here, take it. When we talked about it, if it's 4th down, absolutely. 4th down, you just throw right that they don't run, the lateral play on 2nd down. They don't run it on 3rd down. They run it on 4th down or the last play of the game, right? When you have to get. That's what he was doing, right? The blind just throwing that. You're just hoping it's a chuck and a prayer. But you did that on 3rd down. What if, right? What if you come back on 4th down, get a PI call, right? Get down the field. What if Debo somehow, gets free, which he has done, or Ayuk gets free, which he has done, or Kittle gets free, which he has done? All of these things could have happened.
But he didn't have to fling it. He could have just thrown it into the ground right there because he's out of the pocket.
Absolutely.
Right.
All of that could have happened and given yourself a chance. And nobody's saying anything because they like Jimmy G, right? They like how you can say Jimmy G. Let me tell you, I don't want Jimmy G. Jimmy G is reported to have interest, or Tampa has interest in Jimmy G. That would be the worst thing to ever happen. That would be the worst thing. Well, I had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, it's interesting. At first I didn't think it was bad, and then I had to watch the replay a couple times, and it there was nothing good that was going to come out of that play, right? The bigger problem for Jimmy Garoppolo is not that play. He can't roll out and throw the ball on the run. I've never seen a quarterback that is that poor throwing the ball on the run. On some throws that were easy, he's throwing them behind the receivers, almost getting picked. He's throwing it over their heads and getting picked. I don't know how you're considered to be an NFL quarterback and cannot throw the ball on the run with some type of accuracy. I've never seen anything like it. I literally remember watching the play where he overthrew the receiver and it should have been picked. And I remember him rolling out. I said, "Oh, this is not going to end well." And then he threw it, and it should have been almost picked. I'm like, I knew it. I was calling it right there. I'm like, why are you rolling out? Stop! Don't stop. Set your feet. Don't throw on the run.
You can't Ramsey had it right in his hands.
That was the second one.
Okay.
That was the second, because when it happened on the second time, I'm like, dude, you didn't learn from the first time. When you roll out, you better stop and then throw the football because you cannot do it. And to me, I think why he's not getting – I just think people really realize that he's just not a top nine. Now, again, maybe it's the fourth quarter. It's the end of the game. And if that was in the third quarter and it's picked and it becomes a pick six, he gets crucified more than with a minute left in the game on third and long. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I don't know how an NFL team can look at Jimmy G. And I can't believe I'm saying this against an Italian. It hurts. It hurts. Not many of us in the league, right? Especially at the quarterback position. So it really hurts. Just like Bisaccia got a raw deal with the Vegas.
Oh, here we go.
Wrong, man, Mark Davis. I'm never get rid of the Italian coach like that. I led you to the playoffs, and you just dismissed. Anyway, I digress. I don't know how a team can take a chance on him and to be any type of starting quarterback. I just don't see it. There's how this guy wins football games, defense, running, whatever. Debo Samuel is responsible probably for half the wins himself. Running back, he's the ultimate Swiss Army knife there for the 49. If Debo Samuel wasn't there, they win 4 games this year without Debo Samuel. I mean, he should be in consideration for MVP.
4. They may be 0-16.
Come on now. Don't do my Italian quarterback like that. 0-16. Give him that. Well,
I'll give you 1.
17. You messing that up again.
Wait. Who went 0-16? Marinelli.
Oh, yeah. What about him?
Were you not claiming him? You wanted to get with Bisaccia because he got to the playoffs. But Marinelli.
He's not really Italian. I don't know what that is. That's a fake Italian there. No self-respecting Italian would go 0-16. But then again, he was in Detroit, so it's possible. You want to talk about tanking over there? How do we know over there wasn't going on? But in all seriousness about Jimmy, I just don't see it. I just don't see him, how somebody can see that performance and say, oh, I can fix that. I don't know. And he's got trouble on the run.
They do all the time. First of all, they're going to say Belichick liked him. So if Belichick liked him, then he's got to be good, right? Belichick also liked Jacoby Brissett. Let's be clear.
That's right? Belichick selling that to other people so they get the draft picks.
Yeah, for sure. But they all have that ego that says that I can fix it, right? I had that, in my line of job. I thought I had somebody. I'm like, oh no, that I can fix him. Sometimes you can't. You got to cut bait. But somebody's going to be out there and say that I can make it work with Jimmy G.
I can take him as a backup. Start guy gets hurt. I can take him for a backup, but I couldn't take him for a starter. He can't throw on the run. It's the most bizarre thing that he cannot throw the ball on the run.
Trubisky or Garoppolo?
I'll take Trubisky right now.
All day long.
Yeah. Again, watching as much as I've been able to see Jimmy G this year on different games that I saw him play, he's awful outside the pocket. He cannot throw on the run. He better stop and throw the football. Get your feet right.
So, hold on, CBDA. We didn't even acknowledge that the Rams won. The Rams won the game, right? So we have our Super Bowl.
Congratulations.
I said it this time. This is the only time I'm going to say it. We have our Super Bowl because that's what the league wants to call it. After this, it goes back to the exhibition game. But yes, do you want to add kudos?
No, I don't want to add kudos. I'm not going to give any kudos to the guy that was in Detroit.
Well, as I see from all the Detroit fans, see, it wasn't his fault. It was Detroit's fault. Okay.
The Rams have sold their soul to the devil for this. They
Yeah,
better win it because as these players get older and they don't have the draft capital to restock and you start chasing it through free agents, it doesn't work.
oh, they're all going to be gone. They'll all, even Kroenke will be gone at that point. They're all. I give them about 2 years gone. Right?
I mean, think about this. If you're a fan, would you sell your soul to the devil to win a Super Bowl?
No.
Yeah, I may.
No. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Well, in the Jets track, the history of the Jets, yeah, it's worth it because, well, our history's always shown us in the toilet anyway. So
I would much rather be close to the pinnacle and build up and hopefully get over the top, would be consistent over a long.
Sure, I think yes, I would love that. Yes, you're right. I would do that.
I look at what happened down here.
That was Marty Ball.
What's that?
That was Marty Schottenheimer. I'm going to get you 10, 11 wins a year. You're going to make the playoffs, but we're not going to win a playoff game.
Well, and then I want to get to over the top, but I'm not going to sell my soul like they did down here with Gruden. And they did it again with PED 12, right? It wasn't as bad though because they picked him up as a free agent. Gruden, they gave away the farm to get Gruden, right? You got what you wanted, but then you had this long period of just ineptness. So, but all right, Stevie D, we've run this one for a while. Always good chatting with you, my friend. And to all of our listeners, and to those that are part of the OWS Sports family, we do bring your opinions because your opinions matter, right? This is two guys going back and forth at it, but we like to hear other opinions, other takes. Even though mine is right all the time, but I still want to hear from the others that are out there and be part of the debate, right? And we're going to be taking some of these topics because they're not going away anytime soon. We're going to be taking these and kind of going a little bit deeper as we go forward. So, again, you can reach us at Real OW Sports. You can listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform. And, of course, join in here on Facebook. For my co-host, Stevie D, I'm Vince, and we'll talk to you soon.